Well, hello there, and welcome to another episode of Zany Baseball. I'm Zane,
I'm Zane.
and we have some theme music this week on behalf of Zane's two younger sisters.
Yeah.
You like that?
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
At the old ball game. Welcome to another week. In this episode, we are going to look at the week that was in the first week of the baseball season. Before I do, I want to say hello to one of our subscribers, Matt Bogenschutz. Big Brewers fan, was there for the home opener in Milwaukee, which was a tough loss to Madison Bumgarner and the San Francisco Giants. But the Brewers, 3-3 on the year after taking 2 out of 3 from the Astros. So a decent start to the season to the Brew Crew.
Mm-hmm. And then I think another surprising thing was the Reds, especially in the Central Division, coming out and sweeping the Phillies. Maybe not the greatest team ever, but still, taking 2 out of 3 from the Pirates and, kind of making a statement for themselves in this first part of the year.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Beating the Phillies, I don't think is a huge thing. And the Pirates can't seem to beat the Reds in Cincinnati. They had plenty of opportunities to win the game today. Even opportunities to win the game yesterday. So I don't know that I expect the Reds to be. I mean, the Reds swept the Pirates last year to start the season and obviously didn't finish real strong. So I think that I'm not expecting the Reds to stay on top of the division. I think the Cubs getting off to a good start is going to be problematic for the division. Although they obviously lose Kyle Schwarber this week in a very ugly injury in a collision with Dexter Fowler in center field. I don't know. How do you think that? Do you think that plays a big impact in the Cubs' chances for the entire year?
Well, I think it's definitely going to be a big blow for them. I mean, Kyle Schwarber last year was a killer at the plate, and he just seemed to kill a lot of the teams that really challenged the Cubs. And I think that's going to be a big loss for the Cubs. But I think they do have another backup in Jorge Soler, and he also hit a home run today, which kind of proving his point. Saying hey, we don't need Kyle Schwarber. I'm here. I can fill in your role. And during the offseason, Jorge Soler was actually on the trading block. So just interesting to see what would have happened if they would have dealt him somewhere, what they would have had to do if that were the case.
Right, and I guess Schwarber plays a lot of outfield. Them signing Dexter Fowler instead of the Orioles, I think, turned out to be really important for their depth. And then I also think that you might see Chris Bryant play in some left field as well. And so
I think he played right field today.
Right field today. So I think you'll see some. They seem to have some depth, although it's going to be tested right away. It's going to be, I think, a big blow to the Cubs, but we'll see what happens. 162 games. Can their depth maintain over the length of the season? So we'll see.
Yeah. And then the Cardinals got off to a tough start against the Pirates. Pirates took all 3 games from the Cardinals. The second game was a walk-off in, I believe it was 11 innings, 6-5.
Mm-hmm.
And, the Cardinals were doing just about everything right. They just couldn't find the little pieces to put it all together. But they bounced back and swept the Braves to continue the Braves' tough struggles to the first couple of seasons.
The Braves are one of 2 defeated teams. The Braves failed to win in the first week. The Minnesota Twins failed to win in the first week. And, the Cardinals took advantage of that. They didn't play particularly well in the first week or first series against the Pirates. They played okay, but they took advantage of a bad Braves team. And I think most teams that are going to want to win the division are going to have to take advantage of the bad teams. We talked about in our previews how it seems to be very heavy at either the top or the bottom, not a lot of in the middle. Mm-hmm. And so it's going to require the teams that are going to want to win divisions are going to have to take advantage of beating the lesser teams. And the Cardinals did that this week.
Yeah, and I think another thing to look at too is the each day. Like I look at the scores for each game. Just kind of throughout the day to see what's going on in the league. And I see, early on the Braves are maybe getting out in front, but then the Cardinals were coming back just like they were last year. They were coming back in a lot of games last year, and I think this is another, kind of preamble to say, hey, we're the Cardinals we were last year, and we're going to come back and we're going to win ball games that people might not have thought we were going to win.
Yeah, I guess in all that too is, we talk about the Pirates' struggles in Cincinnati. Well, it seems like, the Cardinals have struggled in Pittsburgh to maybe to a lesser extent, but certainly have had their troubles in Pittsburgh. There was a big 5-game sweep a couple years ago that the Pirates had in Pittsburgh, and a couple walk-offs going into the All-Star game last year in Pittsburgh. So, sometimes you just have to take your poison and move on. And thankfully for the Cardinals, they had a short memory and were able to bounce back. And, at the end of the week, are at 500. Everybody, in fact, in the NL Central is 500 or better.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting to watch, especially throughout these first couple weeks, just to see how the NL Central kind of divides its way into kind of that middle season sort of standings.
Yeah, I mean, well, like I said, we admittedly did not give a lot of credence to the Reds and the Brewers, but the Reds got off to a hot start, and the Brewers, have been able to have a 500 first week. So we'll see where they go from there.
What about the West? And you called it. I was talking to my dad before, and I said, you called the Diamondbacks didn't have a good start.
Well, Zach Greinke struggled. I think that's not good for their long-term prognosis is if he struggles. We talked about I don't know that I expect him to struggle all year. I mean, this is a guy that his resume speaks for itself. I expect that he'll bounce back, but what 2-5 to start?
2-5, I believe. Yes.
Not good.
Yeah, and I think another thing that's kind of coming to be is the Giants-Dodgers rivalry is like already starting to become a big thing in this National League West.
Well, it's always been, yeah. I mean, there's even just on the field. I mean, the Dodgers and the Giants have a rivalry that extends into the parking lot sometimes, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And so I think, I mean, it's going to be a good rivalry. The Giants, strong first series in Milwaukee. It was funny also listening to the call. John Miller's sort of messed up call of the Hunter Pence Grand Slam, right? You hit a Grand Slam, and John Miller, the iconic voice of the Giants, calls it a Grand Slam for Buster Posey's good friend, Hunter Pence. And he had a lot of fun with that. But, the Giants and Dodgers are going to be really strong. What are their records, the Giants and
the Giants are 5-2, and the Dodgers are 4-3. And the Giants took one, kind of stole one away from the Dodgers. That was...
Yeah, well, Stripling has a no-no through 7 1/3, gets to a pitch limit, and they take him out of the game after walking a batter.
And then rookie Trevor Brown hits a 2-run homer to put him back in the game. And at that point, they only have one hit. They have 2 runs on 1 hit, and then it goes to extra innings, and Brandon Crawford hits a walk-off home run to win the game. 3 runs on 2 hits as a win for the Giants over the Dodgers. And I don't know exactly, but I think they had around 7 hits to the Dodgers.
Listen, that's hard way to lose.
That is a tough way to lose.
No.
Like, even looking at the dugout cams, and Stripling was just he was disgusted. He watched the ball fly, and he just put his head down and said, "Oh no."
Well, it's his major league debut. I mean, you're talking about making major league history in a major league debut. Ultimately, it doesn't work out. I think there's a couple things about that are interesting. One, there's a lot of debate was whether Dave Roberts made the right decision in pulling him. We talked about Dave Roberts being a new manager. Did he make the right decision? And I think he made the wrong decision, not in that he pulled Stripling, but that he pulled him in the middle of an inning. If he's going to have 100 pitches, he's never going to get through 2 innings. And he's probably not going to get even through 1 more inning. I think he started that inning in 91 pitches. So unless he's going to get through that inning with 9 pitches, and you're going to pull him, then just get him out of the game to start the inning. Let him finish on a high note, and let the relief pitcher start with a 0-0 count and 0 outs and 0 on. Start with a fresh inning. So I think he made a mistake there. That's where I think he made the mistake. Not that he pulled him. And I heard that Stripling has had Tommy John surgery. I heard his dad had come to the locker room at the end in tears, just thanking Dave Roberts for taking him out. His dad just being, just caring about the long-term viability of his son, was just concerned that, here he is in his first start. Maybe, you've seen Johan Santana have some problems after pitching a no-hitter in 137, I think, pitches, and
Yeah.
later blew his arm out and has never been back, really. And so you're fearful of the long-term damage just in getting a no-hitter like that and focusing on the no-hitter. I think he made the right decision. If I would have done in pulling him, the wrong decision was not pulling him at the beginning of the inning.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a good case. And you even think about it. That was the only I believe it was the only base runner up to that point was the runner that was on base at the time. And you think you said 9 pitches would get him out of an inning.
Right.
Well, maybe you get an inning-ending double play and you get out of that, and then you can get that then you can end that inning with the no-hitter still intact and the game still intact.
Right, that's true. Yeah, I don't know. I just wouldn't have started in that inning. I would have started a relief pitcher in the 8th inning, fresh out of the bullpen with there's going to be a lot of pressure on him, but at least he's not getting an inherited runner like that.
Yeah.
So, and then one pitch, it's gone. But yeah, so Brandon Crawford had the walk off, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I heard Brandon Belt signed a new contract, 6-year contract, I think.
Oh, wow.
To stay with the Giants, so Giants are going to be solid. I mean, they're obviously they lead the division after the first week of 5-2, and they got a really good team.
Yeah, and then I think the big story of this young MLB season is Trevor Story.
Yeah, there's a lot of first of all, they're using a lot of Trevor Story, his name, in a lot of different contexts to try to describe it.
Yeah.
So, I wasn't following some of the games today, and as we were coming in to prepare, Zane told me he had another home run today.
Yeah, I think that's 7 in 6 games, and that is a new MLB record, and a rookie at that.
That's insane.
It's unbelievable. Just watching how he hits. Like, I don't even think he has very many hits other than home runs. He might have maybe 1 or 2 hits, but every single one is going over the fence and he's getting the contact with.
Yeah, when I looked yesterday to see how he did, and I saw that he didn't have a home run, I think he was 1 out of 4 and had 3 strikeouts.
Yeah, that's something that's kind of coming up in my research too. Is he's got a lot of strikeouts.
Well, and one of those home runs, the one that he had the 2 home run day, maybe the second one.
Second home run.
I mean, he got his hands inside and was able to, it was impressive the way that he got his hands inside to be able to yank that ball out. So, obviously, he's dialed in the first week, and the fact that he went on to hit another home run today is indicative of a pretty amazing story.
Yeah,
Trevor Story, amazing story. You never saw the movie The Never Ending Story. It was a movie like when I was your age, and it's pretty goofy, but. It's the never-ending. I don't know. It's long. You should watch it. But there's been these like pictures of Trevor Story riding Falcor, the luck dragon. It's like.
All right, you can stop.
Falcor. Falcor. It's pretty funny.
Obviously, and it's just amazing to watch. And I think I read somewhere that. After like the first, I think it was 4 days or whatever, it was an MLB headline. It said, Trevor Story is on pace for 243 home runs in the 2016 season.
That would be a record, I think.
It's just a bit. Barry Bonds would probably kind of look over and say, I want that kid.
Yeah, I think I don't know if he can keep up the pace. What do you think?
I don't know. His average is going to kill him, I think, is what his downfall is going to be. But I think he can keep up the pace for at least this week a little bit. I think he'll get to 10 home runs this week is my thoughts. And, I think that I don't know how fast the fastest to 10 home runs is, but he's certainly getting there pretty quick.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You can't expect him to keep that pace. It'll be interesting to see if, who knows if he'll hit 7 more home runs the rest of the year. I mean, it's just, I don't think he's known as a big power hitting. I mean, he's a shortstop, and you don't think of power hitters really as shortstops most of the time. So, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
The dust of Troy Tulowitzki, maybe.
Yeah, I guess a guy that can knock some homers around.
And then just kind of moving on down, the Padres, getting shut out in their first 3 games against the Dodgers, having Clayton Kershaw just totally blowing them out. I think
Right.
2 hits in
Right.
7 or 8 innings, and that's just 15-0. I believe this is final score or whatever.
Yeah. So the first 3 games, they failed to score a run. So it's one thing to get swept in your first game.
Yeah, like the
Or
Cardinals.
your first series.
Yeah.
Right. But to get swept and to not score a run at home.
Yeah, that's pretty. I don't even know.
That's pretty rough. But I guess it's been a little bit better since. They scored 13 runs in the game on Friday. So that's a little bit better.
Yeah.
They
just a little bit.
scored 16 runs
yesterday.
And then today
Today it was I think it was 7.
3.
3.
Oh, 3 runs. But I mean, 29 runs in the next 2 games after 0 and 0. So they put up 3 zeros and then scored 29 runs. So
yeah, it's kind of a comeback, I'd say.
well, they were playing in Colorado, so
Yeah.
I guess they were
hitting some balls pretty hard.
they were launching. But there is one undefeated team. We haven't talked about them yet.
That's the Orioles.
Yeah.
Baltimore Orioles, and I didn't have much thoughts for them out of the gate. In our AL video, I thought they would do decently, but I think that their average numbers were just gonna kill them, and I think their average numbers haven't come around yet. If they ever are gonna come around, they haven't come around yet, and their power numbers aren't really coming around. They are hitting home runs though, but they're not winning games, very much, like by a big margin. I mean, Matt Wieters, walk-off win in the opening day. I think their win today was by a run or 2 or whatever. And, I mean, they're not winning increasingly by a drastic amount, but they're finding ways to win ball games.
Well, Machado had a home run. Of course, in the AL preview I said that Machado needs to stay off the disabled list.
And then we looked back, and it looked like that last year he played in every single game. So, good job.
Yeah, that was bad. Chris Davis had a home run. He can knock the ball around the park, and so, I don't. They're going to be a good team. I think when they can hit the ball, and if they can get pitching to match it. Obviously they're a playoff team last year.
Yeah.
I mean, so they're a good team, and so they got off to the best start of MLB this year, undefeated.
Yeah, and the Boston Red Sox, they came up and they're not putting up great numbers either.
Right.
But they're finding ways. They're 3-2. They've got a couple 7-run games under their belts, and coming up and beating their rivals, the Blue Jays. Just taking a couple games from them. And then I don't know if you saw the Pablo Sandoval thing. Where he swung so hard that his belt.
Yeah, I did see that. I did see that. Guy's gonna be on The Biggest Loser next year. I mean, seriously. And if you see, it was that belt, like they had the slow motion replay that was like focused on his belt buckle, and it was like on the last thing anyways, and it just went. Yeah, that's mix a salad in.
Yeah. And he did. I think he did show up to spring training a little
hefty,
a little bulky, a little bit. But
yeah, Pirates play the Red Sox a lot, and I listen to a lot of sports talk radio out of Pittsburgh, and they were just commenting on how massive Sandoval looked. Like he looked
big,
like awfully out of shape. So
yeah,
I don't know. That's probably not. I mean, he's a big guy anyways. He's never going to be skinny, but if his weight's out of control like that, that's maybe not a good
And I think another thing, too, with the Red Sox is they're looking for a first baseman. They can't quite find that yet. They don't have a solidified first baseman. And if he's going to play that role, because I think that's kind of who they're looking to, maybe,
right.
Possibly. If that's who they're going to look to, then he's got to lose a little bit of weight.
Well, the interesting thing about the Jays, I think, was the end of that one game against the Rays. I had to see who it was. Against the Rays, opening series, Bautista goes into second base, tries to break up the double play, sort of sticks his left arm out. The shortstop throws the ball away. the Rays would have scored, and instead they reviewed the play with the new rules at second base, called the double play, game over. Gibbons, the manager of Toronto, was talking a lot about how, the next game they're going to have to come out wearing dresses on, and I'm a little bit conflicted on this. First of all, Batista had no reason to stick his left arm out.
No, there wasn't any reason. No reason at all.
There's no reason to. It's like, don't do that. Okay, I mean, that reminded me almost of a play that Alex Rodriguez had a couple years ago, where, I mean, that's not breaking up a double play. That's just, I don't know. Rodriguez, there was a guy that had a pop up or whatever, and he tried to knock the ball out of his hand. No. There's a guy, he tried to knock the ball out of first baseman's hand, and he's also yelled, I got it.
Yeah, that was the one.
Play. I mean,
that was the one I've seen before.
That's just amateurish.
Yeah,
it's not. Don't do that.
That's not good sportsmanship either,
And
then
it came up again in the Brewers game against the Astros, where Altuve's up. They're trying to rally. Colby Rasmus is coming into second base. He slides past the bag, right? He slides past the bag. He doesn't really affect the play that much, but he slides past the bag. And because he didn't attempt to stay on the bag and just slid past the bag, the guy at second base didn't even make the turn. I mean, Altuve's quick out of the box. It wasn't a really hard hit ball. It was sort of a chopper to second base. Guy threw it to second, and they were going to just get the force. But Rasmus slides past the bag instead of just staying on the bag, and then as a result, they challenge the play. They call him out, and the Brewers win the game. The thing, and I don't really. I like the rule, but I don't like this rule.
I like the concept of the rule. The concept of the rule is to keep people safe, and that's what, to eliminate takeout slides. Right. And I think they should keep it to that.
Right. The stuff that Chase Utley was doing. If you see, they've been showing the replay of that. Utley comes like flying across the bag, 2-footed, just
he's looking for
body slams.
Yeah.
And he's done it before. And Chris Coughlin has done it before. When he takes out Jung Ho Gong, he's not. I mean, he's. The Utley slide was even worse than Coughlin's slide. I mean, but it's like, just go to the bag, and if as long as you can get a hand on the bag, just don't.
Don't make a big deal about trying to take out the shortstop.
Right.
Because I think that's the whole point of this rule is to keep the shortstops and second basemen safe.
Right.
Because especially if you're a second baseman coming into the bag that way, you're not seeing what's in front of you.
Right.
You turn around, you got somebody on your back ready to take you out with a cleat.
Right.
That could be detrimental to it.
And so the Bautista slide really wasn't that, although him sticking his arm out to grab that guy's ankle was just not smart. The Colby Rasmus one, the shortstop was coming across the bag. He was in front of the bag, and Rasmus slid past the bag on the right side, and he just didn't attempt to stay on the bag. Like, he just slid past the bag. All he had to do, if he would have slid to the bag, then the guy's not even going to attempt to turn the double play. There's 2 outs, and they still got a chance to tie the game. And so, it just was. The players are going to have to learn to slide to the bag.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know what's so hard about that. And the problem was Coughlin and, to a lesser extent, but especially Utley. But Utley wasn't sliding to the bag. He was trying to, like...
If you look, he wasn't even making an
studio wrestling
attempt.
move. He jumped over the bag to drop kick him like somebody from the top rope. Looked like Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. I mean, it was ridiculous. So that's the kind of play we want to get out of baseball. But we don't need to be as judicial as to make every slide into second base be. We don't need to take a look at every single slide. I mean, obviously there's a couple plays that we're gonna have to take some looks at. Even today they took a look at a slide into home plate. There was a rule that was made a couple years ago about the catcher has to leave a lane. Right.
And just trying to see what's happening in that play. It's really a discernment call. It's not a right or wrong call. if you challenge a call at first base, it's either right or wrong. But this call is a discernment call, and you can't necessarily tell that. You don't know the intentions of the runners.
Right. Well, so one thing I want to touch on before we close is the story about Tyler White from the Astros. Have you heard much about him?
I've heard his name. I've not heard much about him, though.
So he's first baseman for the Astros. This is his first week of the season, rookie. His story is really interesting. I have you take a look it up a little bit. But here's a guy that come out of high school, wanted to play college baseball, and he didn't get a scholarship offer anywhere. So he walked on at Western Carolina and won a place on the team and got a scholarship eventually. And all he did is just continue to hit. So at some point he heard from a scout or heard from a coach and said, listen, Tyler, you can hit the ball, but you need to get into better shape. And so he focused on getting into better shape his senior year. I mean, it's bad when you don't even get drafted out of your junior year. Junior year comes and goes. He continues to get healthier and stronger. When it becomes time, he's not drafted as a junior. As a senior, he finally gets some notice, not because a scout was looking for him, but a scout was scouting another person on another team and sort of saw that this Tyler White can just hit the ball. And so they drafted him in the 30-something round into the Astros organization, and at every level, he's just continued to hit. So if you can continue to hit, you can continue to move your way up. And so Tyler White's done that. He's a prospect that was a nothing prospect, but he never gave up on his dream. He just worked hard. He continued to work his body, and he continued to hit the ball, and eventually he got seen. He eventually got seen, and I think it's a testament to never giving up. I think it's a testament to just working hard. And here's a guy that really just became a holding place for some of the younger, more touted prospects that are in the Astros organization that are going to play first base. He's not real tall, he's not real big, but he hits the ball. And so after the first week, I saw he was batting .556, had a couple of home runs, I think, or at least one, and had some big hits. And so I think it's just a really uplifting story, the story of Tyler White. Have you take a look at it this week and just see this guy's character to never give up. I think it's,
Yeah, and even looking at, someone who's standing, 30 feet away from him, Jose Altuve, probably, if not wrong, the smallest person in the MLB, like 5'8" or something. I'm just about as tall as him.
Yeah, I don't even think he's 5'8". I think that's generous. He's probably closer to your height. Like, what are you, 5'5"?
Yeah, 5'5".
Yeah, I mean, he's probably about that height. So, that's one of the things I love about baseball. You don't have to be huge like a tall or huge like a basketball player, football player. You can just be who you are, work hard, be strong, have good hand-eye coordination, know the baseball, know where to be, and play the mental aspect. And you still have to be able to hit the ball, and that's what Tyler White's been able to do throughout every level of organization. So, I don't know. I was really inspired by his story, and I thought, man, that's everybody should take a look at that. I think it's pretty exciting.
And then we're running out a little bit of time here, but I just wanted to say a little funny blurb about Mike Trout. He had a tough couple first games. He went 0 for 4, I believe, in his first 2 games, and I guess his next game against one of his games against the Rangers, he finally got a base hit. He gets on first base and he says, "Can I have the ball? Because this is."
Did he?
Yeah, he's like, "Can I have the ball? Like, I've had a rough couple days. Can I have the ball?" It's like his first. It was like making a big deal about his first major league hit or whatever.
Yeah.
That was pretty. That was pretty funny. Just top line of cut 4 on MLB.com. Can I have the ball?
I didn't see that. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
He'll be fine. It's a long season. We look at this first 5 or 6 or 7 games that the teams have had this week. All right, let's close on this. All right, it's a long season, so Trout's gonna be fine, but it's a long season. But one of the things about being a long season is they start like the first week of April, and they got games in Chicago, and they got games in Cleveland and New York and all these places that are like frigid. Why do they do that?
I don't know.
Start in a dome or start in the South, at least the first week of the year. You're just gonna have a better opportunity of having,
And I, watching the Pirates and Reds game Friday night, like just watching the pitchers, like just you know,
Yeah, because Cincinnati was freezing. It was like, right around 30 degrees. It felt even colder.
and then you get like snow flurries and sleet and hail flurries in a bunch of the ballparks. The one of the amazing catches that started off the season was Rajay Davis, losing a ball in the snow
Right.
and then running back and making an unbelievable catch.
Yeah.
But
Yet all these places in the South had empty stadiums. They were playing in the North. Why are you doing that?
yeah.
It's like common sense. It's like baseball sometimes doesn't have common sense.
Mm-hmm.
Schedule the games the first week in the South and in domes.
Yeah.
It's not that hard.
No, it's not really. I mean, yeah, you got the Astrodome in Texas. You got Tropicana Field in Tampa Bay, and they did that this year.
They don't play in the Astrodome anymore.
Oh gosh, man, I got that wrong. Minute Maid Park. Crap.
Yeah.
Man.
But they're indoors. I mean, they're in the South. You have these places in the South. Although, so the Astros are playing in Milwaukee. It's another, it's another dome stadium. It's like, the Giants are opening the season in Milwaukee. Why not playing in San Francisco? It's going to be nicer in San Francisco than,
Well, they got
although I do say, here's what I was going to say. Last thing, I don't like, they had 3 games on Sunday. The Power game against the Cardinals started it. They had the
Blue Jays and
the
Rays.
Blue Jays, and then the Mets and the Royals.
The World Series matchup.
Opening day always starts. It always started in Cincinnati on opening day, and I guess as much as we're complaining about them starting in Cincinnati, or starting up north, I just think that it stinks that Cincinnati is not still acknowledged as the first major league franchise, that they don't have the first pitch of opening day. I don't know. I tend to be a traditionalist. I don't want to be a traditionalist so much in that we can't do something new from time to time, that we can't evolve in some of the rules or some of the applications of the rules, but I don't know. There's something to
nostalgia
and having Cincinnati be the first game of the year. So
yeah, I can see that too.
I don't know. That's just me.
But anyway, good first week to the 2016 MLB season. Glad that it started. I was pretty excited this week. Just coming home from school each day. Waiting for baseball to start around 7:00, and just watching the games, keeping up with all the highlights and the news around the league. But glad that baseball's here, as frigid as it might be up in the north. But baseball season is here, and yeah,
great season. 2016 season's underway.
Yeah,
and we'll be here to chronicle it. We'll be here to follow it with you all season long.
English.
So, chronicle it?
We'll
chronicle
look that
it.
up after this.
Yeah, chronicle it. We'll be here to chronicle it. There's just a lot of syllables in that. Well, on behalf of my son Zane, I'm the elder Zane. It's been fun to have you here again for episode 4.
Yep.
The first week of the MLB season, 2016. Thanks for joining us for Zany Baseball. Au revoir.